Hey y'all, Jill and Nate here. Welcome back to the farm. It kind of looks like it could rain.
I know, which is scary.
Which is scary because I have got to harvest dahlias. So I got my buckets. We probably have 3 buckets of dahlias to harvest. We're going to a friend's house tonight. I've got to make a delivery to Conway. We are selling all of our dahlias, which I'll talk to you about a bit more out in the dahlia patch. But what are you about to do?
I'm about to feed animals and then come help you cut dahlias, I guess.
Well, actually, can you harvest peppers and tomatoes?
I can do that.
I think we're having like sourdough veggie sandwiches for dinner. So.
Interesting.
Yes.
Sounds good. Yeah.
It's like roasted eggplant, peppers, tomatoes. So after you feed animals, you harvest enough for dinner. And then if we don't get soaked, meet me out in the dahlia patch. Alrighty. It has been a minute since I have had to harvest flowers to deliver. The flower adventure, we do that with some friends of ours. So the flowers are something that we collectively do with our friends. It's kind of how we co-farm. Thank you. I'm gonna bring them a little basket of dahlias. And we were kind of doing vegetables, and in some regards we are, but really a lot of that is mine and Nathan's now, and we kind of have like the sunflowers we do together, the dahlias we do together, overwintered flowers. So we really kind of nailed down what it is that we're like co-farming with them, just to make it easier on all of us involved. Now usually we always have so many vegetables that we're giving a ton of veggies away even after we've preserved a bunch, and stuff like that. But y'all, I'm gonna get wet. I was gonna bring my computer out here because when you live in the sticks, it takes me about 24 to 48 hours to upload one video. So just know I love you guys. But usually if I can bring my computer outside of the house, we get better service, surprisingly, than in the house. But I have a feeling if I try to chance it, that's not gonna be a wise decision. So this is actually the first time I've been out in the garden since we've been out of town this weekend. And we did have rain here, praise the Lord, much needed, but I can tell some of our okra plants have completely fallen over, which tells me we must have just had like some strong wind gusts come. Surprisingly, the dahlias look fine, so that's nice. Let me get my rubber bands, my pruners, everything situated. Now with the dahlias, we're still selling them to the same place that we were selling all of our other cut flowers from. So we're still just delivering to one place, which is really nice when you're the grower. If you can have these places where you're not having to constantly be delivering to new places, it's a game changer, because it really starts getting into your costs when you think about delivering to multiple places on different days. So for us, where we're delivering is about 25 minutes from here. If I had to deliver 25 minutes here, you know, I deliver Tuesdays and Fridays. Say maybe I had someone about 30 minutes away on Wednesdays, you can tell I really have to start thinking about that cost analysis and how much I'm actually making versus what I'm bringing in. And so that wouldn't really make a lot of sense for us because we are so far out. My coneflower! My coneflower bloomed. That's awesome. So we are still just delivering to the one place. Very happy with that decision. It's been such a lovely relationship. So I've got my buckets. Now with the dahlias, they prefer to be harvested earlier. They don't want any direct sun. They will wilt quite a bit, but it's overcast like I just told you guys. The rain's coming. I don't even have water in my buckets right now, and that's totally fine, because the weather's just really, really nice to be harvesting dahlias. So let's cut a couple and see what we got. So with the dahlias, did you hear the thunder? So with the dahlias, we are selling these per stem, which is quite a bit different. So we're getting a stem price versus a bundle price, and that's because dahlias are just so different on so many different regards. And usually when you buy a bundle, oh, the rain's already started. Really? Y'all, I just got out here. Okay, we're gonna have to wait it out under the pavilion before I get soaked. Maybe it'll at least fill my buckets up. Poor Nathan, he doesn't really have anywhere to ride out this storm. He's all the way down there by the pigs. But we are selling these per stem instead of per bundle. We are the only people in our area that are selling dahlias, so that feels really good. And so we're just kind of getting our toes wet essentially this season. You guys know, you've kind of followed me in this journey of like, oh, I think I want to figure out what these dahlias are all about. And that's what we've been doing. We've had some troubleshooting issues with like trellising. Our dahlias keep falling over because we have really sandy soil. So the tubers and the roots have a hard time gripping to where they're just like laying over instead of establishing down better. And so we're trying to figure that out. And we didn't put on horticulture netting soon enough, and now we're kind of too late. We had T-posts every few feet, and then we had like a twine wrapped around, and we continued to do that all the way up thinking that that would work, and it didn't work. And so now we were trying to troubleshoot on, should we do something differently? Are the plants too established to try to, you know, incorporate some sort of netting at this point? So that's something that we're just gonna have to kind of play by ear and see. I mean, what are the odds? I have a very short window of time where I can come out here and harvest these dahlias before we need to be at our friend's house. We just have the most random little rainstorm. It honestly, like looking at it out over here, it just looks like a misting of snow. However, it's 90 degrees outside, so it's certainly not that. But I did just direct seed all my carrots and beets, so it is nice that there's this light rainfall, not this heavy rainfall. I do always worry about that. Anytime you're sowing direct seeded things, make sure you're checking the forecast. The light mist, something like this is fine. Those hard rains are either gonna wash out all of them or push them further down into the soil, which obviously you don't want. But unfortunately, I'm not sure I'm gonna get this done today. All right, y'all, it's a light rain. Nathan kind of thinks I'm a weenie. It's mainly because I have my nice camera out here. But I'm going to attempt to just harvest as much as I can because we've got clear skies this way, but this way it's pretty intense. So I'm going to try and do this as quick as possible, and then maybe I can hop back under the pavilion and kind of talk to you guys about what I want to talk to you about. But I think if I'm going to harvest, this is my sweet spot before it does get really bad. Pretty. All right, you guys, I don't know if you can hear the thunder or not, but I had to quickly come inside. I probably left about a half a bucket to a bucket of dahlias out there. I just didn't have time to harvest them before the storm because it's really, I mean, it's lightning really bad. But check this out. This is awesome. So I kind of mentioned when I was harvesting these that I had this vision for the dahlias. And I kind of want to talk to you guys about that on some scale. One, I've been dreaming of dahlias years before I ever decided to put a tuber in the ground. At our old farm, I tried dahlia from seed and really started dabbling into what's the difference between a seed dahlia and a tuber dahlia. Unlike other flowers, dahlia is one of those that it requires one, more attention. Two, it doesn't grow well in the southern climate because of our heat. And then three, you have to think about storage. If you're wanting to dig up those tubers for the next year, you have to dig them up at a certain time of year. You have to store them for a certain time of year. You have to make sure that you're tagging them properly. So as you can tell, just by me kind of talking to you guys about this, it's not just like you pop it in the ground, forget about it, and then it, you know, reseeds next year. Maybe you can grab a seed pod, throw it in a baggie. It's a bit more complex than that. And so I knew dahlias weren't going to be something I could just jump into head first. But one thing that I love about the dahlias is we grew several varieties this year. But if you look here, we have got so many different color palettes. So dahlias are one of those flowers that they come in so many different varieties and textures and colors, and you guys can kind of already see just right here some of the different ones. You've got, you know, these ball varieties that have those really close clusters. Then you have this cactus type variety that's got these crazy wild petals. You've got the dinner plate dahlias, which are these massive hand-sized dahlias. You've got these kind of, you know, single stems here. Where's some other ones that I can show you? The single HS. Let's see. So over here, this is a single HS, which just has those single petals around it. This is also kind of similar to that. So you can see here, there's a lot of diversity in colors. We knew we'd be harvesting these towards the fall, so we went with a more richer color palette. We've got the maroons, we've got a lot of peaches. We do have a few whites with the cafe au laits, but this is a stunning spread. So to kind of let you guys in on the short condensed version on what is my vision with the dahlias, what's my plan behind them. One, I wanted to experiment. To become knowledgeable in anything, you can read all the books, you can do all the research, and that is one key component to becoming, you know, knowledgeable in something. But for me, a lot of it, even, you know, coupled with all the research, is doing. I can read about dahlias, I can read about trellising issues, troubleshooting, dibbing up tubers, you know, propagating those tubers, taking cuttings from those tubers, planting those dahlias. I can read all of that. But until I'm actually hands-on doing it, planting in the field, cultivating, harvesting, there's a lot involved. And so for me, I told myself that I was going to experiment this year. I didn't actually even expect to harvest any blooms and sell them. So this is kind of an icing on top. My plan was to grow 4 tubers and to figure out what I could grow in my conditions, what did well, and really spend this year narrowing down my collection. So what I did is I took giant notepads. If you guys remember, I'll find the video and link it when I was creating it, and it was all the color palettes I wanted. And I went in and I've got Excel sheets, and we put in, okay, never grow this one again. This one had more pests. This one ended up, we have a couple that just got disease, and so we're ending, you know, we're having to dig up all those plants. And so I'm really kind of just narrowing down my collection. What does well in these hot southern climates? What is easy to manage? What has those long stem lengths that do really well? Like the cafe au lait, I love it. However, you've got, you know, these stalks, these stems that are like the size of a broomstick, and they're super squatty. So they'll bloom and have like maybe stem length of a couple inches. You can't do anything with that. I can't sell it. And so we've grown probably 8 different plants in different parts. They're all resulting the same. So that's something I'm going to consider. Although they are beautiful, they're not beautiful when you harvest them and bring them inside to go into a vase, because you just can't. They're too thick to fit in most vases, and they're not tall enough. But so my vision for this is, I don't know, I don't really like to give myself timelines because I don't know, I just think there's so many different components in that. But one of my dreams with the dahlias is to be able to grow out a Whispering Willow Farm collection and to sell the tubers based off of these collections that I have spent, you know, a few years cultivating and putting together, and then offer them on our website. One, I know a lot of southern growers that don't grow them because they don't know the specific varieties that do well. For us, like I said, we're the only growers who grow dahlias and sell them locally. And I talk to a lot of people. A lot of times it's like the Pacific Northwest. Those are the people who are growing a lot of these and seeing a lot of success. And so it's kind of a challenge for me. Obviously, they're beautiful. Who doesn't love buckets full of dahlias on your table? But I have had some of you guys ask, what's your deal with dahlias? Why are you growing so many of them? kind of my heart and vision is to eventually have a collection and be able to sell these on our website. But that does just take some trial and error on our end. It takes me really figuring out what's working and what's not working, and making sure that we have a product that we feel 100% confident in before we list it and have it ready to go out the door. But I know when we grew our ginger to mix with elderberry syrup, that felt really special. We partner with a lot of people to bring things, you know, from our home to your doorstep. But knowing that we grew the ginger that was made in that elderberry syrup that went into your homes was really special. And for me, you know, there's not a lot of things that are made within our home, grown on our home, that we get to offer you guys. And this would be one of those things that is from my garden to yours. That has a really special place in my heart, and it holds a lot of vision, a lot of dreaming and vision casting. And so I just wanted to keep you guys up to date with what my vision is behind the dahlias, what we're doing. Love input as far as what you guys, you know, are growing, what you like, what you don't like. We're going to continue, you know, each year to add in more varieties and kind of narrow down that selection until we have something we're just 100% confident in. But unfortunately, you guys couldn't hang out with me a whole lot while I was harvesting these because it got soaking wet. But at least now you can see the finished product here of all these beauties behind me. But thank you guys for hanging out. I'll talk to you soon.